Hello, my name is Kelsey, and I tested positive for being cooler than your dad. Welcome back to the podcast, Can You Take My Shift? This podcast is about bonding with your coworkers about how much you hate your job. So I just have one question for you, my little simple lady. Can you take my shift?
This one time only yes, because your girl's so broke. She needs money. So I will say yes.
That's fair. So it's been an eventful week since we last checked in with you guys. The U.S. election is been called. It's not over, but it's been called, thankfully, because that was stressing everybody out.
Yeah, I did not like the internet for those 3 days, and then at one point Twitter turned into 2012 Tumblr or 2014 Tumblr, and oh my god, that was literally the worst.
Oh my god, that was the best. My favorite tweet was, if I came out to gay and my straight friend and they looked at me that way, I'd immediately die too.
Oh yeah, I've never watched Supernatural. I know very little about it,
but I know the angel is in love with the homophobic guy, and now it's canon, but kill all the gays.
That just made me laugh. Oh my god.
Yeah. So that's wrapped up. Congratulations for America for voting the orange Cheeto out of office. I had my doubts, but I am proud of you. White women and men, not proud of you, but I am proud of everybody else who voted.
Yeah, y'all white people got no rights.
Yeah, no. But anyways, also our election wrapped up too, even though no one really cares about the BC election. That election was finalized.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so that's good. So that means all the votes have been counted. It's finalized. It's set. We've got an NDP government. We're set to go. And BC was set to go until we got some lovely new restrictions handed to us very quickly.
Yeah. We love Dr. Bodiana in this house, don't get us wrong, but the new rules are a little confusing. But I don't know, like, it's such a catch-22 because right now you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
No, it's truly that. Like, the basis of the rule is if you don't live there, don't go there. So it's like you have to keep your bubble to just your household. Yeah. Like, the only exception is if, like, you live by yourself and then you have someone else who lives by yourself and you two can kind of decide to be in your bubble. Like, if if you and your partner both live alone, you can be in, like, each other's bubble. Or if you have, like, your child you primarily care for that doesn't live in your household.
Yeah.
But, so that's the rule. No one, because all y'all on Granville Street, we saw ya. And then everyone who decided to have a Halloween party, on Halloween, it was you, me, and then Dan, who has been in our bubble since forever. Since forever. So we were very responsible, but then all those people who decided they needed to throw big parties. So cases have doubled, and now we are back to only spending time with each other, which I love you and it's fine and we can totally do this.
Yeah.
Although I don't think originally when they put out those the new rules, they did not clarify them all because everyone was like, okay, are we going into an immediate lockdown?
No, it's not a lockdown. It's more of just keep to yourself.
Yeah, and then people are like, well, then how does restaurants work? So that, I guess, was the kind of confusing part because they also canceled a bunch of sports. They closed a bunch of gyms. They do not suggest you travel unless it's an emergency.
Yeah, I think it's also like with restaurants, like, again, stay with your immediate household if you want to go to, or they want to try to keep them open because a lot of people work and people can still get takeout and everything like that. So
yeah, and a big problem with COVID is a lot of independent businesses have closed, and I know they want to keep that from happening to the ones we still have left. So besides that lovely thing, so I've actually been off work for 2 weeks now. My lovely store is going through some renovations, so I was going through midterms. I was super stressed out. The time off came at the perfect time. I was like, I'll relax. I'll start watching a new show. I'll get ahead on all my homework. And guess who got a stress cold? So I do not have COVID. I know that's probably wondering why my voice sounds, I don't know what, it was at sexy, like, smoky singer. I don't know where it is now.
No, it's a little, like, either I've smoked 14 packs a day for the past 20 years or slightly prepubescent voice cracks. It goes in between.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I could sing for you, but I don't think you want to hear it.
Oh, we're good.
I was trying to sing Cabaret in the shower, thinking, oh, it might sound good. No, it does not.
Why would you think that would sound good?
Because my voice is lower. I have such a high-pitched voice. I thought, maybe maybe this time.
No,
that's fair. Yeah. So I got a stress cold, which was super great. Like, obviously, it could be worse. I could have caught COVID, but thankfully, it was just a cold. I just was blowing my nose 24/7, which is super fun, super hot, super sexy. I know my wonderful husband, Keegan, that's all he can think about right now is like, damn, girl. So that was great. So I have not left the house for a week now. And then they put the restrictions on, so I was like, cool. So I'm just gonna stay here and only go out. Well, I had to send you out for provisions because even though I don't have COVID, I was not gonna go out anyways. Mm-hmm. So it was, Amy, bring me home. I don't know how many times it was, Amy, bring me home orange juice. I drank about like a carton of orange juice a day.
Yeah.
So thankfully, since my work is closed, I didn't have to call out sick because I don't think I get sick pay if I call out sick.
The rules right now are extremely confusing. I think if you call out sick like one day, I don't think you get sick pay right now. Mm-hmm. But if you end up in a situation with COVID, either you test positive, someone in your household tests positive, something like that, I think there's something in place for you to get some sort of pay, but it depends on your work. Every work is different.
Because I remember when we went back to work, they were like, if you're feeling sick, like a tickle in your throat, anything, do not come in. It's like, okay, so am I going to get paid sick? Well, no, then you'll have to go back on CERB. This was like when we first reopened.
Yeah.
And that was like really confusing. So we have to basically apply for unemployment if we're sick. So that's what we really want to talk about today. Is the big thing before this all happened is the lovely capitalism thing of, if you're sick, don't come into work, but we're not going to pay you if you're not going to pay you, but don't get sick.
Yeah,
that's the only thing you can. It's like, so I'm sick, so don't come in, but also don't call out, but also we're not going to pay you, so just don't get sick.
Yeah. Like, it's just as simple as that. Just don't get sick, right?
Yeah, no, I think, like, only 2 jobs I've ever worked have had, like, a sick pay. Because when you work in the serving industry, there's no sick pay.
No,
they're very much don't get sick. Because if you call them, I'm sick, well, who's going to cover your shift? Well, I'm sick. Do you want me touching customers' food and drink? Like, it really grosses me out, especially, there's a lot of things that we did previously before COVID that now really gross me out, but the amount of times I worked sick as a dog is disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
No, like, I shouldn't be bartending, hopped up on cold medication, like, blowing my nose every 5 seconds and then making drinks. Like, that's
really gross.
Yeah, but then your boss is like, well, who's supposed to cover your shift? Well, mate, that's kind of your job.
Yeah, like, you gotta find someone to.
No, I know when we worked in Florida, they had 2 types of calling out sick. Mm-hmm. So they had calling out sick and calling out personal. And now how Florida worked is there was a point system. Mm-hmm. So so if you called out sick for one day, you got a point. But if you called out the second and third day consecutive, so 3 days in a row, that was only 1 point.
Yeah.
So because that meant you were actually sick. Now, if you called out one day, went to work the next day, and then called out the third day, you would get 2 points.
Yeah.
Because you worked in between.
Yeah. So if you really felt like you were actually sick, it was better just to take the 3 days off than risk it.
Yeah, because also, too, if you called out 2 days in a row but didn't take the third day, you'd get 2 points.
Yeah.
Which is so stupid. So there was sick pay with that. And then we also had personal days. Now, the thing with the sick pay was, if you called out sick, you better not be anywhere but your apartment, because some employees love to snitch.
Yeah.
They love to snitch, and, like, you know what? Have we called out sick when we're not sick? I'll get to that in a minute. Mm-hmm. So if you called out sick you had to be like in your apartment or like at an urgent care center, at the drugstore. That was all acceptable. Now, we had this lovely thing called calling out personal. So calling out personal was 1 point, but you didn't get the 3 days. It was just personal 1 day. But you could do whatever the fuck you wanted on your personal day.
Yeah, they told them, or the way they explained them to us, like personal was like quote unquote mental health days. So no one could question you if they saw you around or anything like that.
Yeah. So if you wanted to go call out personal and your controlling your mental health was riding a roller coaster, that's personal. And that was the thing, it was personal. They're not supposed to ask you what you're doing that day. So I called out when we worked down there. Also, too, the one thing, if you got 3 points, you got a reprimand.
Yeah.
And then was it 3 reprimands you're fired?
It was supposed to be 3 reprimands you're fired, but I know lots of people who got either really close or got the 3 reprimands and they were just like, we'll let it go. And I'm like, what do you mean let it go?
Oh yeah, I remember. I was so excited that somebody got the 3 reprimands, and I was just like rubbing my little hands together waiting for him to get fired, and then they were just too lazy not to fire him.
Yeah, like it was more effort to fire them than to do anything else. And I was like,
yeah, no, that's how you knew if they really could not stand you, if they fired you.
Yeah.
Because one of my managers hated me, but like they had no reason they could find to fire me.
exactly.
So it's like it would have been way too much work for them. So I called out sick. I had a really bad day at work one day. So I called out sick the next day because I was just, I don't know, I had been crying the day before, so my face was swollen. So I just stayed in the apartment all day. Mm-hmm. And then the only other time I called out was I was overwork. My managers were treating me horribly, and my friend Caitlin says to me and Kaylee, do you guys want to go on a cruise? I were like, what? She's like, yeah, there's like a cruise in 2 weeks. It's 80% off. We got our 2 boys want to go too. So the 5 of us are like, let's go on a cruise in 2 weeks to the Bahamas.
Yeah, why not?
So I look at my schedule, and it's only like a 3-night cruise.
Yeah.
But I was supposed to work 2 of the days, and nobody would trade with me. So I was like, I have no points. I'm just going to call out personal for 2 of those days.
Absolutely.
And it was like a month before my contract was ending. So I was like, know what? Because it was also a point too where so many people were calling out sick and personal in a row. So I was getting left the short end of the stick every day, where I'd have an 8-hour shift and then 2 people would call out sick or personal, and then they would force extend you.
Yeah.
So I was working 10 to 12-hour days.
Gross.
And like there was no say in the matter. They would just force extend you. So I was like, you know what? Because I don't like calling in sick in general. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, unless I'm on my deathbed, I will not call in, because that's how my parents are. They're like, you're going to leave someone shorthanded. Like, if I could get somebody to cover my shift, that's why I never called in sick. I always went to try and find someone else to cover my shift, which is like, honestly, like, just be a good friend and try to do that first.
Yeah, of course.
But like, also too, if you're sick, you need to call in, or if you need to go on a cruise, because you know what?
Mental health.
That cruise truly was for my mental health, okay? Like, my mental health was so low. I jumped at the chance. So the thing was, you have to pay for internet on cruises.
Of course.
And I'm a cheap bitch. I didn't want to pay for internet. Mm-hmm. But the way you called out personal is you had to do it online through this system.
Yeah.
So I was able to call out personal the first day before we left. But then we were on the water, and you had to call out, I think, 2 hours before your shift started at least.
I think so, something like that.
So I got one of my coworkers, who is also named Kelsey. I gave her my login credentials for my employee access website, and she called out personal for me.
Good grief.
And it was the perfect deniability because Kelsey called out personal.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, it was absolutely perfect. And the thing was, everybody knew it wasn't, everyone was prepared for it. I wasn't an asshole who was just like, I'm just going to disappear for 2 days. Everybody knew, but because it was personal, managers could not ask.
They couldn't question it.
Yeah, what about you?
I would say I remember the first time I ever got like really, really sick and then I had a call at work. It was when I discovered I had vertigo. And basically it was again one of those situations. I was 17, so I had my job. And the great thing, at least when I worked in Alberta, and maybe it's the same here, if you're a minor, your parents can call in sick for you.
I have no idea.
Yeah, so that's a rule in Alberta. It also helped that my manager actually knew my mom quite well, so that also helped me. But I ended up getting so unbelievably sick with vertigo that my mom had to like take me to the hospital. So my mom called the store and was like, hey, like so-and-so, this is Amy's mom. Yeah, I know this is really awkward, but like Amy can't even come to the phone. She's so sick. And you can literally, my mom takes the phone and goes, Amy, say something. And I go, hi, I'm sorry. And then proceed to throw up.
Oh my gosh, you throw up on the phone?
Not on the phone. I was in the bathroom.
Okay.
So I was like, hi, I'm really sorry. And she's like, yeah, just give us a call when you're feeling better.
Yeah.
So that was really lucky there. When I worked in Florida, I called out sick once because I'd hurt my knee. And I don't know, to this day, I don't know what I did to my knee. I literally woke up and it hurt to walk. Like, it was so unbelievably painful. But I still went to work, so I was like, maybe if I, like, keep walking, if I stretch throughout the day, it'll get better. No. It 100% got worse. And I talked to one of my leaders. He was a dick. He did not want to help me at all. And it also was one of my friend's last days. So I ended up crying at work. And then our proprietor came and saw me crying. And I was like, what was wrong? And I was like, I gave two shits. And I went and I said, I hurt myself. And our manager is not doing anything to help me. I snitched. I snitched right then and there. And she went to him and yelled at him and was like, well, she's not sure if she hurt herself at work or at home, so like I don't know what I can do for her. And she's like, I don't care, this girl's sitting back here crying because you're refusing to help her. Are you really gonna send her back to work while she's crying? And I was like, are you gonna fucking do it? Like, do it in front of, like, because that was his manager. I'm like, do it, I fucking dare you. So
do it.
I ended up calling out sick the next day, and then all our managers heard about this incident. So then I got a personal phone call from one of the leaders who was there today being like, hey, so we saw you called out sick today and we heard what happened yesterday. We just want to make sure you're okay. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Thank you so much. I felt kind of bad, but at the same time, I'm like, dude deserved it because he was a dick.
No, that's totally fair. There's definitely like a difference too between like being sick and then getting hurt.
Yeah.
Because I've gone into work hurt. I've gotten hurt at work. Mm-hmm. I've gotten sick at work. Like I've gotten like sent home from work because I get food poisoning a lot more than I'd like to admit.
Yeah.
And it's not because like restaurants are actively food poisoning me. That has happened to me twice. Both times it has been from a Subway. Yeah, no, I don't trust Subway anymore. But I am allergic to dairy and I love cheese. Mm-hmm. And I love milkshakes and I love ice cream. And some days I'm just like, you know what? I think I can handle it. No, I cannot handle it.
Yeah. No, other than that, I think I only ever called out sick one other time. And we talked about that last episode where it was just, I got a little too carried away on my birthday.
Oh, yeah.
And then my manager yelled at me the next day at work. Actually, I called out sick, and then he wrote me up over it. To this day, I'm still mad about that.
No, we're still mad at him.
Yeah.
No, have you ever gotten, like, besides the knee injury, is that the only time you've ever gotten hurt at work?
I got hurt at work, like 2 weeks ago. Same thing. I was doing okay. Like, I'm a little bit of a broken human. I got all sorts of weird back problems and leg issues and feet issues, and I'm just always in a constant state of pain. So I don't like to complain about my body aches ever. But you know that when I do complain, there's a problem, because then it's really serious and it's really bad. At least in my point of view. Like, I'm very much like, oh, I will go to work for any reason whatsoever. Like, I also just have constant allergies all the time. So I will always be at work sniffling, sneezing, blowing my nose. But it's just allergies. Like, you can check the tissues if you'd like. Like, it's clear liquid just coming out of my body.
Like, with COVID, people are, like, so on edge if you, like, cough or sneeze. Like, we'll be on the train and Amy will sneeze and, like, 5 people will look at us. And it's like...
And I literally, like, take out hand sanitizer in that moment. And I'm like... I'm good. I promise. I'm not sick.
She's like wearing her mask. She's got they like mind your business.
Especially now with the weather being cold, like my nose is just runny all the time.
Well, that's why I haven't gone anywhere. It's purely a cold.
Yeah.
Like I got dirty looks when I like felt it coming. I like went to the drugstore before I felt it coming. I was like, I'm just gonna pick up some cold and flu medication, and the glares I got just standing in that aisle.
Yeah. But no, I got injured at work because, again, I was just doing my thing, making my drinks, and my back had been kind of hurting, but I was like, you know what, like, I'll just go on my break, I'll do some stretches, I'll take some pain medication. I go and stand back up off a chair in our back room, and all of a sudden I'm limping. I barely did anything on my break. I sat down for 15 minutes. And now my knee's hurting. Like, it hurts to put any amount of pressure on it. I don't know what I did. And I come back, and my coworker is like, hey, like, where do you want to be put? And I was like, can I just be put on TIL? And she's like, yeah. And I don't like TIL. Like, it's my least favorite position. So she's like, you sure? Like, that's where you want to go? And I was like, yeah, I can't walk. She's like, what? And I was like, yeah, I did something to my knee, so I can't walk. And so she's like, okay. I don't know if she like fully believed me until like I started like handing people coffees, and I'm like, I'm like limping around with these and she's like, okay, yeah, you're just gonna stay here. And I was like, yes, thank you. Like, I'm not making this shit up. Like, it hurts to move.
Is it the same one who I'm thinking about?
No.
Okay.
No, different one.
Yeah, no, I remember, so I have gotten hurt on the job many times. I'm just very accident prone. But I remember working at the coffee shop, so you could be like me and have a old sports injury acting up. When I was 14, the madman I am and the superior athlete I am, I dislocated my shoulder playing badminton. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I am just an Olympic athlete right here. So my shoulder, ever since then, will slide in and out. And one night I was sleeping, and I toss and turn in my sleep. I'm a very light sleeper. And I got my arm cut under me. The sheet wrapped around my arm, and I guess I turned really quickly in my sleep. So I pulled my shoulder out of the socket. I woke up, and I was in so much pain. I had a 8 a.m. shift at the coffee shop. I'm still working there. And you were awake in the morning, and I was like, Amy, my shoulder doesn't feel right. So you were like putting some cream on my shoulder, and you could literally stick your fingers like in.
It was like, for like a visual perspective, you know that, slime.
Yeah.
You know, kids like slime, and your like finger just like sinks into it. That's what her shoulder blade was like. I literally took a photo because I was like, this isn't normal. And I went to the other side, and I'm like, no, that's normal. And I was like, yeah, like I should not be able to stick my fingers in your body like that. Like, no.
So I was like, I'm fine. Like, so I went to the clinic because the last time I had been there, they said, oh, you don't need an appointment, just walk in, and I waited an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So I went when they right open, because it was right before work. I said, look, I need an appointment. She's like, oh, you can walk in. I was like, no, we're not doing this shit. I'm in a lot of pain. I need an appointment. So she books me an appointment for right after work. I literally am working, and it's my right shoulder, and I am right-handed. I could not lift a milk jug. Like, I was in excruciating pain. I could not lift a milk jug, and I am terrible with my left hand. Like, I can't do anything with my left hand. So
privilege.
I know. I can't even, like, if you try to high-five me with my left hand, I'll probably miss. Like, I'm that stupid. So So I would always like to be on bar because I don't like talking to customers.
Yeah, that's why I like bar too.
So our older coworker was like, okay, Kelsey, we're going to move you to bar. And I was like, no. And she's like, this is like, it's your turn. You like to be on bar. You always give me shit when I leave you until for too long. And I was like, I cannot hold a milk jug. How am I supposed to pump out drinks?
Yeah.
Just leave me here to rot. So I could type away with my left hand on till.
Yeah.
But that was it. And then afterwards, I went up to the appointment, still waited an hour past my appointment. And the doctor sees me and she's like, oh, yeah, that's not right. If you're still in pain in 2 days, come see me and we'll get you in the physiotherapist. And I was like, cool, so you're not going to do anything about this? Like, I'm in so much pain. So I came home and, like, yes, Canadian healthcare is free. It's not always the best. I've had great walk-in clinic experiences, and that clinic is honestly terrible. Every time I've been there, I've gotten terrible experiences.
Yeah.
So I came home. I did what any normal Canadian would do. I popped an edible. I lied down, got very high, put my shoulder back in place myself.
Gross.
Watched a movie with Jennifer Aniston in it, and I was so high, I didn't recognize her, and I thought I went to high school with her. The entire time I was like, I think I went to high school with her. I just don't know her name. Yeah, it was Jennifer Aniston. So that was like the worst time I've ever been hurt. And like, I should have just called in that day.
Yeah.
I should have just called in and gone to probably just gone to the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I was like, I'm a trooper. I got it. And you know what? The next day it was back in place. You couldn't stick your fingers in there anymore.
That's good.
Yeah. So we all know I'm very clumsy, and at my current job, my coworker has asked me if I'm trying to make a claim out of this place, because I proceeded to do 3 things in 1 week. So we had a step stool, and I was doing the merchandising count, and the step stool was old. We had it for years. It had a crack in it. I was standing on it counting, and then the step stool immediately, it broke while I was standing on it, and I went through it, and she hears this giant thump, and she comes running, and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, it broke from underneath me. I need to lose some weight. And she's like, it's been cracked for years. It just finally hit. And then we have this other room where when I count the merchandise, the door, if you're behind, you have to be behind the door. So people will just open up the door really fast and heavy, and it's always when I'm behind there.
Yeah.
So I always tell my coworkers, if it's fully shut, just give it a little knock before you open it. I mean, I have also opened it quickly when someone's behind there, but I was standing on, so I was trying to get to the very top to count the merchandise. I was standing on the ledge, so not being the safest.
Yeah.
So my coworker ran the door open on me, and I literally I'm standing on a 6-foot tall counter. I go flailing as I'm holding onto the rafters in the roof.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like something out of a movie.
Exactly. And then the last one was I was going to this one is all 100% my fault. I was going to the till, and we have this stool. I go to sit down. I also hate this stool. It's the world's worst stool. My butt misses the ledge. The stool goes scooting far back, and I slam down on the ground. And we have very big open windows. So this, of course, a pedestrian looks in and just sees me flailing and fall on the ground, and then just peers in with their squinting eyes, and then they keep walking.
Oh my God.
And my manager's like, can I please? She's like, I heard that. What was that? And I was like, it's fine. Can I please check the security cameras? I was like, no, a crime did not happen. You're not allowed to check the security cameras. But no, I was not trying to make a claim. I'm just really clumsy. That's why I make sure whatever job I have, they have a stocked first aid kit.
Yeah.
I always carry a first aid kit with me. I also, weirdly, one task I've picked up, because I don't know how many times I've had to do it, is I'm good at getting splinters out of other people's hands.
Maybe because your hands are so tiny?
Yeah, I guess my hands are so tiny, and I usually have nails, and I usually have tweezers on me, but I don't know how, like, almost every job I've had to take a splinter out of someone's hand. And I remember, it reminds me of when we were in Florida. We were at the hostess station, and my coworker was doing something with glasses, and she dropped a bunch of wine glasses, and a bunch of glass went in her finger.
Oh my God.
And she was a baby. She was like just 19. And she was like, it's fine. And I was like, your finger's bleeding. And she's like, oh, like I washed my hands. And I was like, sweetie, there's a bunch of glass in your finger. And now I'm 5'3". This girl is 6 foot tall. She almost passed out on top of me when she saw that. So as I'm half dragging her body, we're also understaffed this day too.
Great.
So it's just me, her, and another girl working the podium. I'm dragging this 6 foot tall blonde lady to the back to get the glass out of her finger. My boss comes by and she's like, what are you two doing? Like, what's going on? I was like, she has a ton of glass in her hand. Like, did you not hear the crash?
God.
And they're like, oh, what should we do? And I was like,
I don't know, maybe call ambulance.
yeah,
or
maybe take her to the urgent care center.
Yeah, like,
maybe you're a 40-year-old manager.
Yeah.
I'm 21 years old. Like, I mean, I have had first aid training. Like at one point I was first aid certified. It's long expired now. But I was like, you should take her to the urgent care center. Well, we're understaffed today.
Well, then figure out a way to get her there.
I'm sorry, glass in her hand. Are we missing the glass in her hand? Like, it can get infected. Do you want her to keep that finger or not? So they're like, oh, okay, I guess we'll take her to the urgent care. And I was just like, I guess you will. I guess you will. No, that job so many times. There was this wall of lockers in the back. I was just like, oh, I just wanna start banging my head. Oh my goodness. And they're like, wow. They come back, wow, Kelsey, you handled that really well. You were calm and cool. Because that was what other way to handle that? Like how you handled it?
Yeah. No, I think the worst injuries I've had at work are I've spilt hot water, hot coffee all over my arms, my hands. I'm pretty sure some of my fingers don't have fingerprints anymore because I've just singed them off.
Oh, that's fair.
I worked with a girl one time who she was making a extra hot drink of some sort. And this is so vividly ingrained into my brain. She went and she poured it into the cup and she went to go grab a lid, but her other hand, somehow, no coordination. She still had the milk pitcher and the cup, and she took the milk pitcher, it hit the cup, and she was wearing, funny thing, she was wearing really, really tall boots, the kind that go up to your calf and they open. Those aren't dress code at the coffee shop for this exact reason. Mm-hmm. The hot, extra hot, 190-degree scalding beverage.
Oh, no.
Went right into her boot.
Oh, my God.
And that happened, within, my first, 8 months of working the coffee shop, too. So I was like, I don't know what to do. I was 16. I was like, And the girl's like, I'm good. Don't worry. And I was like, maybe go take off your boot. I don't know. Oh, yeah, that was terrible.
I don't understand why a lot of people don't understand how to deal with burns. I have seen so much in my experience, people not knowing how to take care of burns. I'm looking at you.
Yeah, I have a burn on my hand. Okay, in my defense, though, this happened just because I didn't take care of it properly, and it's on my wrist, so, you flick your wrist.
No, I'll let you.
Putting a Band-Aid over that? It's impossible. Yeah, I burnt myself on a hair straightener, and it just never went away.
Yeah, because when I worked at the movie theater, you knew you were fully initiated, so we had to wear these god-awful blue polos, and all of the boys would have them 3 buttoned up But all the girls were like, oh, you know, it's flirty, it's feminine. We're going to keep the buttons undone, even though our managers were like, you should button them up. But if you button them up, they gave you a weird uniboob. So, like, you had to have 1 or 2 buttons open. And popcorn kernels would go flying, and you were fully initiated if you got a popcorn kernel down your bra, and you have a little circle burn, and I have a little circle burn.
No, that sounds awful.
It is terrible, and it is the most awkward experience too, because your shirt had to be tucked into your pants, like with a belt.
Oh, yeah.
So it was and then running to like the kind of like only privacy corner in the concession, because the concession was a circle.
Yeah.
And literally pulling it out of your pants and going like, trying to fan your polo shirt. But we all have it. And like, so I was fully initiated to the movie theater lifestyle.
Yeah, I think the only other times I really got injured at work is had strollers run over my feet multiple times when like our little store in Florida was just crowded, and they would just go clunk clunk over your foot, and they're like, oh, what did I hit? And I'm like, my foot, but like, no big deal, enjoy your vacation, I guess. Like
when I came back home, I was like, I'm so glad to not see 1,000 strollers every single day.
Like, I get it, they're very handy for parents, but I refuse to take my child on a vacation if I still need a stroller. No. I will carry a giant backpack around with me of things that they need. Strollers? Absolutely not.
No, I don't know if I'll ever have kids, but I don't want to take a child on vacation while I still have to wipe their ass.
Yeah.
Personally, not it for me. Like, you can take them to Walmart and that's a vacation. Babies have no object permanence. It's the same thing. Oh, you wave a shiny thing in front of their face. It could be a princess. It could be tinfoil, you know.
Yeah, no. Do I have any other work injuries? No. Like, I know of lots of people who did get injured at work and then had to go through the whole claim system.
Oh, that's the worst.
That's a whole other thing, and I'm not versed in that world. I'm not even going to get into that world, because that involves unions and work and lots of emailing back and forth and paid time off and not getting paid time off and then being put on light duties and all these stupid things. Like, any work injury I've had, I probably could and should claim. Like with my knee the other day, probably should have claimed that. Never did, never even wrote it up, because I was just like, oh, like, it's not that bad. But I think I don't know, maybe this is like a millennial Gen Z thing, or maybe it's just capitalist trait. It's probably more of a capitalist society trait. We're just taught that, again, if it's not life-threatening, it's not a big deal. But I also feel like that was just something ingrained to me as a kid. Like, again, when I got sick as a kid, no, you were still going to school. Like, I remember growing up, like, I'd literally have to tell my parents, like, I'm not going to school. I am so ill. Or if I did go to school, then I'd end up throwing up at school, and then they'd have to come get me.
Same thing happens to me, too. I'd be like, Mom, I'm sick. No, you're going to school. And then, like, one period later, I'd be puking in the bathroom. One time, she couldn't get me, and I was like, I'm projectile vomiting, so I had to walk the hour walk home, and it was like every 5 minutes, I had to literally throw up on the side of the road.
God. Yeah.
No, the last thing I can remember, again, there was a lot of things that happened in Florida. So 40-degree weather, very hot, wool costumes. The amount of people getting heat exhaustion I saw.
Oh, yeah, that happened a lot.
So they would always stress drink a lot of water, but then they wouldn't give you, like, you'd be drinking, like, the amount of water I drank. I've never drank that much water in my life. I'd be drinking, like, 5 water bottles within an hour, and you need breaks to go get more water, and it was a whole thing. And then one of my coworkers, she passed out on the popcorn cart. She collapsed from heat exhaustion. And then they gave us like a whole talking to afterwards about, you know, taking care of yourself and all this bullshit. But like, there's only so much we can do.
Yeah.
Like, I can't control the weather. Sorry, like, there is no dome. I can't control that. Okay, how about we, you know, okay, so we have to take care of ourselves, but you want us wearing suede vests? in 40 degrees. Oh, well, I guess you don't have to wear the vests. Wow.
Thank
Thanks.
you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. How about the wool skirt?
Honestly, I didn't find it that bad, because at least you could, like, fan yourself with it a bit.
So, but we have more breaks, more support, no. And then we had one coordinator who was like, look, if you feel like you're going to pass out, just take a Powerade. Like, she's like, fuck it, it's not stealing. Take a Powerade, mark it out. Because, like, if a guest dropped something that they purchased.
Yeah, you could give them a new one.
You could give one a new one for free. So she's like, you know what? She's like, I am not calling the ambulance because you're, well, she would call the ambulance.
Yes, of course.
Sorry, she wasn't on hard list. She was the nicest one. She's like, I don't want to be calling the ambulance. If it's me calling an ambulance or you drinking a $3 Powerade, drink the Powerade.
Yeah, except Powerade is going to cost them, again, way less at the end of the day.
Well, yeah, especially since, like, most of that they get, I don't really...
They get it at a reduced cost.
They get it at such a reduced cost, and, like, an ambulance costs so much to the company, because if the company calls it, they have to pay for it.
Yes, exactly.
So if you ever feel like you're going to collapse in a store... because they will pay for it. You don't have to pay for it.
Exactly. Have you ever passed out?
Have I ever passed out? I mean, drunkenly passed out.
That doesn't count. I mean, like, that doesn't count. We've all done that.
Yeah. No, I'm not a big passer-outer. I know that doesn't make sense. The only time where I've, like, truly passed out is when I was 13. I always mess this up and I sound ignorant. Is it the Norwalk or the Norwal flu?
I think it's the Norwalk.
Okay, I got that on my 13th birthday, and that was the worst birthday of my life because it's coming out, like, it's vomiting, diarrhea, you can't even hold water down, and your entire body is depleted. I was sleeping on the bathroom floor because it was cold tile in a quilt, like, in front of the toilet.
Yeah.
And for 2 days straight, because I just kept passing in and out. Mm-hmm. And my mother would literally, like, try to get some water in me, and then I would just puke that up. I lost, like, 15 pounds. I was, like, creepily white. Like, I was just sack of bones.
Yeah.
And it was, like, so contagious. I gave it to, because I remember the night before my 13th birthday, I was like, Mom, I don't feel good. She's like, you're fine. You're fine. Again, like I was like, no. She's like, you had too much for dinner. You're fine. And we went home from my grandparents' house. And then I was like, I don't feel good. And then I got sick. And then my dad got it. My mom got it. My sister got it. Both my grandparents got it. My aunt and uncle and one of my cousins got it. My one cousin, I don't know, was spared from it. But I had it. Me, my dad, and my grandfather all had it the worst. And I think that is the only time, besides drunkenly, because we know Kelsey loves a fun time, I have ever sick passed out. Like, I don't pass out, like, if I see blood. From pain. No, I've never passed out from that. But that was the only time I was just like, I couldn't even lift my head up.
I've passed out twice. Once at a Costco and once at a wedding. At Costco.
Okay.
Such a weird place.
Yeah.
I just remember we were walking in, and I had surgery earlier on month, I don't remember, but I had surgery on, so I had 2 casts on my feet and I had crutches, but it was pretty early on, so, like, I could walk around, do all that kind of stuff. Pretty independent woman with her 2 casts. And I just remember just walking around Costco. It's so dumb because it was in fucking Costco, and I was just going to my mom, I'm like, I don't feel super well. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I just started to feel really, like, dizzy and lightheaded, and then you start to feel really tingly. Like, you know when, like, your foot falls asleep?
Yeah.
Imagine that, but over your entire body. And so I just I remember I went to my mom and I was like, can I just, like, rest my head on your shoulders? Boom. That's the last thing I remember. Then I remember waking up because we were with one of my mom's friends. I remember being picked up by this man and being put in the shopping cart.
Your chariot, your highness.
Yeah, so I was put in a shopping cart and my mom was piling groceries around me because I'd passed out. I couldn't walk anywhere. They went and got me some chicken strips and fries so I could eat them in the car while we were shopping.
Oh my god, that's the most mom thing. She's fine.
That's literally what she kept going on because people were like, oh, it's okay, she's okay. And I'm like...
2 casts child in a shopping cart, passed out with grocery, like your mom is like, just like, it's fine. You were truly not her first child.
No, I'm not. I'm the baby, can you tell? And then the second time I passed out, it was we were going to an Indian wedding. And basically what ended up happening is the groom was 3 hours late for his own wedding. And it was because in this Indian culture, I'm not sure which one it is, so I'm not even going to try to guess. If the bride and the groom are from different cities, they're not allowed to sleep in the same city the night before they get married. So they were getting married in Calgary, but the groom was from Edmonton. Edmonton is 3 hours away. So they had to go sleep in Edmonton the night before. All fine. I guess a bunch of stuff happened that day, so he ended up being 3 hours late to his own wedding.
Ooh.
And I just remember, same thing happened again. We were outside. It was super hot, super sunny, no cloud inside, but we weren't allowed to leave. And, we hadn't had anything to eat yet. We were going to go eat once everyone got in there. And I had had very little for breakfast that day. And I just, again, went to my mom and I'm like, Mom, I don't feel well. And did the exact same thing. I leaned on her, passed out. So at least in my defense, if I know I'm gonna pass out, I will let someone know. I don't just drop.
That's good.
Yeah, I don't just do that. Yeah. Kind of like when I know I'm gonna throw up, I know that I can get somewhere and I will hold that until I can dispose of it properly. Yeah, no, passing out's one of those weird things that people experience it, but not a lot. So that's why.
That's fair. Yeah. No, I mean, every week you have to edit out me getting up to walk around because both of my legs have fallen asleep every time you film the podcast.
Yeah. So just imagine that, but your whole body I don't know why.
No. So I think we're going to have to put a trigger warning on this episode if you don't talk about throw up. We're going to have to, because some people really don't, so we'll have to put a trigger warning.
Yeah, we'll just put that.
Yeah. But in order to wrap up the episode today, now Amy can cut this out, but I really hope she doesn't. I want to talk about my 3 favorite times I've seen Amy throw up.
All right, sure.
Okay, so we're going to start with number 3, which we've talked about before. It's a key moment in our friendship, is when it was 90s night. Her first night out drinking, and she puked all over my legs, my overalls, and in her purse.
There's still a little bit of dried puke on that purse to this day. Yeah. I never used that purse, but I can't get rid of it.
My second favorite time was Amy decided to stop seeing someone. And she, ever the nice lady, felt bad about breaking it off. So she picked up one of those big bottles of wine, the 1.5. She poured me a glass, poured herself a glass. I don't know, a half an hour later, I'm like, Amy, can you pour me another glass? She drank the whole bottle.
I bought it because I wanted to share it, and then I just didn't.
You just drank the whole bottle. This is something I would do. This is not something Amy would do. So I put Amy's very drunk. I put her to bed. I put some water beside her. I tuck her in, because usually it's the other way around. She pukes on the wall and her bed. Because she's like, what is that on the wall? And I was like, sweetheart, that's your puke.
Yeah, I was like, oh no.
And then my all-time favorite was, so whenever Amy, Dan, and I are together, it's always a fun time. We always say, what do we always say? Oh, we're going to hang out, have a couple drinks, and watch movies. What do we never do?
We never get to the movie.
We never get to the movie. Because instead of a couple drinks, we just have all the drinks.
Yeah.
So Dan came over. We had just moved into this place.
I think I know the time you're thinking about.
Yeah, so we had just moved into this place. We had so much to drink. Dan left. I don't know why we let her leave, but she left. And you had been drinking a lot of pink things. Wait, is this the same time?
No, that's a different time.
It's a different time?
It's a different time because the pink one.
Oh no, the pink one is a different time. Okay. Sorry, that would be that's pink
an honorable mention.
Yeah, the honorable mention is when Amy drank a bunch of pink things and then just threw up pink.
Very on brand.
In the shower.
It's very on brand for me.
Yeah. No, my favorite time. So sorry, that was with somebody else.
Yes.
No, so the three of me, Amy, and Dan drank so much. We were mixing wine, hard liquor, and something else.
Yeah.
It was a bad mix. So we both need to puke. So I, being the shorter one, I go to the toilet. Amy goes to puke in the sink and then hulks off the hot water handle from our faucet. And we're both and we don't have a stopper in the drain. I mean, now we do. No. But she hulks it off and we both watch it. She goes, no. And I look up and we see it swirl around the sink and then go down the drain, and we're both finished vomiting. We're like, oh no.
Yeah, that was a weird conversation with the landlord. So what happened? I don't know.
I had to go down the next day and I was like, hey, so we were just turning the faucet and it just popped off and just went down there and must have been loose. Do you have any a snake I can pull it out? No, they just replaced the whole thing. So yeah, so little treat for you, since usually I embarrass myself on the podcast. I thought I would lovingly embarrass Amy.
I don't puke a lot, but when I do, it's
iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's memorable to say the least.
So with that, and I really hope you don't cut this whole part out, Amy.
No, I won't.
Shall we give a shout out to our super fan of the week? We were going to shout out somebody else, but they have not listened to every single episode of the podcast yet, and until they do, they don't become the super fan of the week. But you know who does listen to every single episode?
I don't know who we're talking about.
Your brother.
Oh. My brother, Keegan. Yay! Again, I edited another YouTube video for him. It's up on his channel, YYC Hustle, if anyone's interested in watching him react to the UFC 254 fights.
It's a different kind of content than ours, but you know what? Babes support babes.
Exactly.
All right, Amy, give us the outro.
So thanks, guys, so much for listening to this week. You can find us on Anchor, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. If you listen to us on Apple, please give us a 5-star rating or leave us a review. We love to see those, and they help us out. You can listen to us on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts. Oh, and if you listen to us on YouTube, give us a subscribe or comment, share, all those fun things. You can follow us on Twitter at CYTMS Podcast. Just follow us on there. Retweet our things, reply to us, send us a DM, and then you can also follow us on Instagram at Can You Take My Shift, and again, send us a DM, a comment. We've been posting a lot of TikToks on there recently, not our own, but ones we find that are related to work that we think are really funny, so we hope you guys are enjoying those too. So I guess that's all we got for this week, and so Kelsey, can you take my shift?
I'm sick.
Boo, you whore.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.